Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
The effort contributed by a person in bringing about a result. The actions and activities assigned to or required or expected of a person or group. The government must do its part. To some extent, in some degree, not wholly. I felt partly to blame. Assets belonging to or due to or contributed by an individual person or group. A portion of a natural object. They analyzed the river into 3 parts. Something less than the whole of a human artifact. The rear part of the house. One of the portions into which something is regarded as divided and which together constitute a whole. The written part of the exam. Discontinue an association or relation. Go different ways. The business partners broke over a tax question. The melody carried by a particular voice or instrument in polyphonic music. He tried to sing the tenor part. Force, take, or pull apart. Moses parted the Red Sea. An item that is an instance of some type. My dog swallowed a Lego part. A line of scalp that can be seen when sections of hair are combed in opposite directions. His part was right in the middle. Leave. The extended spatial location of something. Religions in all parts of the world. Go one's own way. Move apart. The friends separated after the party. Something determined in relation to something that includes it. He wanted to feel a part of something bigger than himself. An actor's portrayal of someone in a play. She played the part of Desdemona. Come apart. That which concerns a person with regard to a particular role or situation. It requires vigilance on our part. The effort contributed by a person in bringing about a result. I am proud of my contribution in advancing the project. Act of giving in common with others for a common purpose, especially to a charity. A voluntary gift, as of money or service or ideas, made to some worthwhile cause. An amount of money contributed. He expected his contribution to be repaid with interest. A writing for publication, especially one of a collection of writings as an article or story. The effort contributed by a person in bringing about a result. They all did their share of the work. Assets belonging to or due to or contributed by an individual person or group. He wanted his share in cash. A sharp steel wedge that cuts loose the top layer of soil. The allotment of some amount by dividing something. Death gets more than its share of attention from theologians. Give out as one's portion or share. Have, give, or receive a share of. We shared the cake. Any of the equal portions into which the capital stock of a corporation is divided and ownership of which is evidenced by a stock certificate. He bought 100 shares of IBM at the market price. Communicate. I'd like to share this idea with you. Have in common. Our children share a love of music. Use jointly or in common. The actions and activities assigned to or required or expected of a person or group. The function of a teacher. Perform as expected when applied. Mathematics. a mathematical relation such that each element of a given set, the domain of the function, is associated with an element of another set, the range of the function. A vaguely specified social event. A seemingly endless round of social functions. Serve a purpose, role, or function. The table functions as a desk. What something is used for. The function of an auger is to bore holes. A set sequence of steps, part of larger computer program. Perform duties attached to a particular office or place or function. A formal or official social gathering or ceremony. It was a black tie function. A relation such that one thing is dependent on another. Height as a function of age. A job in an organization. The actions and activities assigned to or required or expected of a person or group. Professional or clerical workers in an office. The whole office was late the morning of the blizzard. Of a government or government official, holding an office means being in power. Being in office already gives a candidate a great advantage. Place of business where professional or clerical duties are performed. He rented an office in the new building. An administrative unit of government. A religious rite or service prescribed by ecclesiastical authorities. The offices of the Mass. The actions and activities assigned to or required or expected of a person or group. Play its role. What something is used for. An actor's portrayal of someone in a play. Normal or customary activity of a person in a particular social setting. What is your role on the team? To some extent, in some degree, not wholly. To some extent, in some degree, not wholly. He was partially paralyzed. To some extent, in some degree, not wholly. I felt partly to blame. A proportion in relation to a whole, which is usually the amount per hundred. Assets belonging to or due to or contributed by an individual person or group. An individual quantity of food or drink taken as part of a meal. His portion was larger than hers. Assets belonging to or due to or contributed by an individual person or group. Something less than the whole of a human artifact. The allotment of some amount by dividing something. Money or property brought by a woman to her husband at marriage. Give out. Your overall circumstances or condition in life, including everything that happens to you. Success that was her portion. Something determined in relation to something that includes it. I read a portion of the manuscript. Repair by adding pieces. She pieced the china cup. A portion of a natural object. He needed a piece of granite. Eat intermittently. Take small bites of. He pieced at the sandwich all morning. An item that is an instance of some type. He designed a new piece of equipment. A share of something. A period of indeterminate length, usually short, marked by some action or condition. I need to rest for a piece. A musical work that has been created. A work of art of some artistic value. It is not known who created this piece. An instance of some kind. It was a nice piece of work. create by putting components or members together. She pieced a quilt. A portable gun. Game equipment consisting of an object used in playing certain board games. He sacrificed a piece to get a strategic advantage. To join or unite the pieces of. A serving that has been cut from a larger portion. A piece of pie. A distance. It is down the road a piece. An artistic or literary composition. He wrote an interesting piece on Iran. A separate part of a whole. An important piece of the evidence. Join during spinning. Piece the broken pieces of thread, slivers, and rovings. A group of ships of similar type. One of the portions into which something is regarded as divided and which together constitute a whole. The BBC's engineering division. The act of dividing or partitioning. Separation by the creation of a boundary that divides or keeps apart. Discord that splits a group. A league ranked by quality. A unit of the United States Air Force usually comprising 2 or more wings. An administrative unit in government or business. An arithmetic operation that is the inverse of multiplication. The quotient of 2 numbers is computed. An army unit large enough to sustain combat. 2 infantry divisions were held in reserve. Biology. A group of organisms forming a subdivision of a larger category. Botany. Taxonomic unit of plants corresponding to a phylum. The act or process of dividing. A self-contained part of a larger composition, written or musical. He always turns first to the business section. A specialized division of a large organization. She got a job in the historical section of the Treasury. The cutting of or into body tissues or organs, especially by a surgeon as part of an operation. Geometry. The area created by a plane cutting through a solid. One of the portions into which something is regarded as divided and which together constitute a whole. The finance section of the company. A small class of students who are part of a larger course but are taught separately. A graduate student taught sections for the professor's lecture course. Divide into segments. One of several parts or pieces that fit with others to constitute a whole object. A section of a fishing rod. A distinct region or subdivision of a territorial or political area or community or group of people. No section of the nation is more ardent than the South. A division of an orchestra containing all instruments of the same class. A land unit equal to 1 square mile. A segment of a citrus fruit. He ate a section of the orange. A small army unit usually having a special function. A small team of policemen working as part of a police platoon. A very thin slice of tissue or mineral or other substance for examination under a microscope. Sections from the left ventricle showed diseased tissue. Tennis. A score consisting of winning a game when your opponent was serving. He was up 2 breaks in the second set. Breaking of hard tissue such as bone. The break seems to have been caused by a fall. Enter someone's virtual or real property in an unauthorized manner, usually with the intent to steal or commit a violent act. Be released or become known, of news. Fail to agree with. Be in violation of, as of rules or patterns. An act of delaying or interrupting the continuity. It was presented without commercial breaks. Lessen in force or effect. Break a fall. An escape from jail. The breakout was carefully planned. Interrupt a continued activity. Force out or release suddenly and often violently something pent up. Break into tears. Any frame in which a bowler fails to make a strike or spare. The break in the 8th frame cost him the match. Go to pieces. Ruin completely. Act in disregard of laws, rules, contracts, or promises. Break a law. Become fractured. Break or crack on the surface only. Do a break dance. Kids were break dancing at the street corner. Prevent completion. Break off the negotiations. Become separated into pieces or fragments. Make known to the public information that was previously known only to a few people or that was meant to be kept a secret. Terminate. Break a lucky streak. Surpass in excellence. Break a record. Discontinue an association or relation. Go different ways. The act of breaking something. The breakage was unavoidable. Happen. Break down, literally or metaphorically. A pause from doing something, as work. We took a 10-minute break. Stop operating or functioning. Fracture a bone of. Reduce to bankruptcy. My daughter's fancy wedding is going to break me. Assign to a lower position. Reduce in rank. Geology. A crack in the Earth's crust resulting from the displacement of one side with respect to the other. Break a piece from a whole. Break a branch from a tree. Make submissive, obedient, or useful. The horse was tough to break. A time interval during which there is a temporary cessation of something. Move away or escape suddenly. Nobody can break out. This prison is high security. A personal or social separation, as between opposing factions. They hoped to avoid a break in relations. Some abrupt occurrence that interrupts an ongoing activity. There was a break in the action when a player was hurt. Destroy the completeness of a set of related items. The book dealer would not break the set. Cease an action temporarily. Let's break for lunch. An unexpected piece of good luck. He finally got his big break. An abrupt change in the tone or register of the voice, as at puberty or due to emotion. Then there was a break in her voice. A sudden dash. He made a break for the open door. Be broken in. If the new teacher won't break, we'll add some stress. Become punctured or penetrated. Cause the failure or ruin of. This play will either make or break the playwright. Cause to give up a habit. Change directions suddenly. Change suddenly from one tone quality or register to another. Come forth or begin from a state of latency. Come into being. Come to an end. Crack. Of the male voice in puberty. His voice is breaking, he should no longer sing in the choir. Curl over and fall apart in surf or foam, of waves. Destroy the integrity of, usually by force, cause to separate into pieces or fragments. Diminish or discontinue abruptly. Emerge from the surface of a body of water. Exchange for smaller units of money. I had to break a $100 bill just to buy the candy. Fall sharply. Find a flaw in. Break an alibi. Find the solution or key to. Break the code. Give up. Break cigarette smoking. Happen or take place. Things have been breaking pretty well for us in the past few months. Interrupt the flow of current in. Break a circuit. Invalidate by judicial action. Make a rupture in the ranks of the enemy or one's own by quitting or fleeing. Make the opening shot that scatters the balls. Pierce or penetrate. Render inoperable or ineffective. Scatter or part. Separate from a clinch, in boxing. The occurrence of breaking. The break in the dam threatened the valley. The opening shot that scatters the balls in billiards or pool. Undergo breaking. Vary or interrupt a uniformity or continuity. Weaken or destroy in spirit or body. Separate substances into constituent elements or parts. Make a break in. Laugh unrestrainedly. Suffer a nervous breakdown. Discontinue an association or relation. Go different ways. To cause to separate and go in different directions. Cause to go into a solution. Close at the end of a session. Take apart into its constituent pieces. Break or cause to break into pieces. Bring the association of to an end or cause to break up. Break violently or noisily. Smash. Come to an end. Cause to separate. Break up kidney stones. Release ice. Set or keep apart. Attack with or as if with a pickaxe of ice or rocky ground, for example. Destroy the completeness of a set of related items. Come apart. Treat differently on the basis of sex or race. Act as a barrier between. Stand between. Have the connection undone, having become separate. Arrange or order by classes or categories. Become separated into pieces or fragments. Separate into parts or portions. Discontinue an association or relation. Go different ways. The couple separated after 25 years of marriage. Force, take, or pull apart. He separated the fighting children. Divide into two or more branches so as to form a fork. Make a division or separation. Go one's own way. Move apart. The friends separated after the party. Standing apart. Not attached to or supported by anything. A house with a separate garage. Mark as different. Come apart. The two pieces that we had glued separated. A separately printed article that originally appeared in a larger publication. A garment that can be purchased separately and worn in combinations with other garments. Divide into components or constituents. Independent, not united or joint. A problem consisting of two separate issues. Separated according to race, sex, class, or religion. Separate but equal. Having been divided, having the unity destroyed. A split group. Separate into parts or portions. Discontinue an association or relation. Go different ways. My friend and I split up. Separate or cut with a tool, such as a sharp instrument. An opening made forcibly as by pulling apart. An increase in the number of outstanding shares of a corporation without changing the shareholders' equity. They announced a 2-for-1 split of the common stock. The act of rending or ripping or splitting something. Division of a group into opposing factions. Go one's own way. Move apart. Come open suddenly and violently, as if from internal pressure. A bottle containing half the usual amount. A dessert of sliced fruit and ice cream covered with whipped cream and cherries and nuts. A lengthwise crack in wood. He inserted the wedge into a split in the log. An old Croatian city on the Adriatic Sea. A promised or claimed share of loot or money. He demanded his split before they disbanded. Especially of wood, cut or ripped longitudinally with the grain. We bought split logs for the fireplace. Extending the legs at right angles to the trunk, one in front and the other in back. 10-pin bowling. A divided formation of pins left standing after the first bowl. He was winning until he got a split in the 10th frame. Become separated into pieces or fragments. Separate into parts or portions. Discontinue an association or relation. Go different ways. My friend and I split up. Get a divorce. Formally terminate a marriage. An increase in the number of outstanding shares of a corporation without changing the shareholders' equity. The sound made by the vibration of vocal folds modified by the resonance of the vocal tract. A singer takes good care of his voice. The melody carried by a particular voice or instrument in polyphonic music. An advocate who represents someone else's policy or purpose. Expressing in coherent verbal form. I gave voice to my feelings. Utter with vibrating vocal cords. A means or agency by which something is expressed or communicated. The voice of the law. A sound suggestive of a vocal utterance. The noisy voice of the waterfall. Give voice to. He voiced his concern. Linguistics. The grammatical relation, active or passive, of the grammatical subject of a verb to the action that the verb denotes. Metonymy, a singer. He wanted to hear trained voices sing it. Something suggestive of speech in being a medium of expression. The wee small voice of conscience. The ability to speak. He lost his voice. The distinctive quality or pitch or condition of a person's speech. A shrill voice sounded behind us. Part. Cease or break association with. Force, take, or pull apart. Perform a division. Can you divide 49 by 7? Act as a barrier between. Stand between. The mountain range divides the two countries. Separate into parts or portions. Divide the cake into 3 equal parts. Force, take, or pull apart. A ridge of land that separates 2 adjacent river systems. Make a division or separation. Come apart. A serious disagreement between 2 groups of people, typically producing tension or hostility. A line of scalp that can be seen when sections of hair are combed in opposite directions. The act of departing politely. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Move away from a place into another direction. The train departs at noon. Remove oneself from an association with or participation in. Wander from a direct or straight course. Go away or leave. Leave. Be at variance with. Be out of line with. State. Set forth one's reasons. Leave. Put in motion or move to act. Cause to burst with a violent release of energy. Make up for. Provoke or stir up. Set off great unrest among the people. Direct attention to, as if by means of contrast. I set off these words by brackets. Leave. Set in motion or cause to begin. Take the first step or steps in carrying out an action. Leave. Lay out orderly or logically in a line or as if in a line. Get off the ground. Who started this company? Bulge outward. The time at which something is supposed to begin. They got an early start. Begin work or acting in a certain capacity, office or job. Start a new job. Get going or set in motion. We simply could not start the engine. A line indicating the location of the start of a race or a game. Have a beginning, in a temporal, spatial, or evaluative sense. Prices for these homes start at $250,000. A signal to begin, as in a race. The starting signal was a green light. Bring into being. A turn to be a starter, in a game at the beginning. He got his start because one of the regular pitchers was in the hospital. Set in motion, cause to start. The U.S. started a war in the Middle East. Take the first step or steps in carrying out an action. Who will start? Begin an event that is implied and limited by the nature or inherent function of the direct object. She started the soup while it was still hot. A sudden involuntary movement. He awoke with a start. Begin or set in motion. I start at 8 in the morning. Have a beginning characterized in some specified way. Leave. Move or jump suddenly, as if in surprise or alarm. She startled when I walked into the room. The advantage gained by beginning early, as in a race. With an hour's start he will be hard to catch. The act of starting something. Play in the starting lineup. The beginning of anything. It was off to a good start. Take the first step or steps in carrying out an action. Leave. Take time off from work. Stop working temporarily. Leave. Depart from the ground. Make a subtraction. Get started or set in motion, used figuratively. Mimic or imitate in an amusing or satirical manner. Prove fatal. Remove clothes. Take off your shirt, it's very hot in here. Take away or remove. A part of an animal that has a special function or is supplied by a given artery or nerve. In the abdominal region. A knowledge domain that you are interested in or are communicating about. Here we enter the region of opinion. The extended spatial location of something. The farming regions of France. The approximate amount of something, usually used prepositionally as in the region of. It was going to take in the region of 2 or 3 months to finish the job. A large indefinite location on the surface of the Earth. Penguins inhabit the polar regions.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.